some of the things he's championed and his effect on the position of vice presidency. A lot of people share the view that he's changed how we view vice presidency in the country, and we keep priding ourselves that never in the history of this Fourth Republic have we seen any vice president as active and hardworking, result-oriented like Dr. Bawumia. And to us, that's how confident we are in him, and part of reasons why we believe the Ghanaian electoral populace should give Dr. Bawumia the opportunity to show what he can also do as president, so that in 2028, God willing, we would have the benefit of the two leading candidates. If Mr. Mohammed once again we should contest as president on the ticket of the NDC in 2028, we would have him serve as vice president, and we would have Dr. Bawumia serve as vice president and president.
You can make a proper comparison.
So we can make a proper comparison. Even with the role of the vice president, the two have served. We can clearly tell. One that can stand on a platform and tell the whole world, this is what I've done as vice president. He read his curriculum CV to us on the 7th of February at UPSA, and he told the Ghanaian public, this is what I've done as vice president. You've not experienced such successes before, but this is my scorecard as vice president. We never had that, and we keep pushing the NDC, for example, to tell us what Mr. Mahama was able to do as vice president. Until now, we've not had a single success story of his influence as vice president. And to us, that's where everything starts. And looking at the two and the ideas they have, the visions they have for the country, and what they are propagating as being the solutions to the continuous problems that we encounter as and when. Clearly, you can tell that Bawumia is way ahead. I mean, looking at his vision for the economy, the tax reforms he's promising, and how he wants to align our ports to that of our neighboring country to help boost businesses, the golden age of doing businesses, the costs of containers here and there, the flat rate system for businesses, small scale, medium scale, and all that. His promise of training 1 million youth in ICT. And of course, if he's Dr. Digital and he's promising the youth of the country that I'm going to train 1 million of you in ICT, clearly you can believe him. And to me, one of the most important things he's introduced, Lantam, just a minute, is the free education he's promising people with disability. After your graduation from the free SHS at the basic school level, we have redefined basic school, not in terms of paper, but of course conventionally, that basic education terminates at the secondary school level. So after graduating from free SHS, when you get the opportunity as a person with disability, people who want to become like Lantam, people who want to become lawyers like Mr. Jantua, but are disabled, this is the least the state can do for you, is to provide for your tuition and provide for your accommodation. A lot that Bawumia is clearly thinking of. And we are here to talk about cement. And he stated his view for our mineral sector.
You know, but in all of this, you know, when you talk about the achievements of Dr. Bawumia and how well he's doing and the promises that he's making, so that we vote for him, so that he can come and do these things. You know, people talk about his current role. You know that thought always comes back because people always want to judge him based on that. You talk about digitalization, but people talk about the economy, which he's supposed to be in charge of, in terms of, you know, the team which is supposed to manage the economy. And the economy is not doing so well. So what is the guarantee that he will come and do better when he is there now, when he's the head? Okay. And the reason why people stress and emphasize on that is the current president told Ghanaians that the reason why Dr. Bawumia is his running mate is because he's coming to run the economy. He's going to be in charge of the economy. He's going to be the head of the economic management team. So if that task has been given to the vice president to do, and the economy is in the state in which it is, what is the guarantee that when he actually becomes president, he can do any better than what we experience now?
That's where we fall on people like you, Lantam, to continue with the education. Clearly, there is a direct correlation between digitalization and the economy. The fact that he's digitalized the system, mobile money interoperability fully implemented, the Ghana card serving as the sole source of identifying who a Ghanaian is. The fact that we've opened up the system and anyone, anywhere, irrespective of whichever cottage or village you are part of doing businesses. A lot more Ghanaians own mobile money account as compared to those that own formal accounts in banks. Businesses are being transacted across board on daily basis. Our state institutions are fully digital. I don't remember the last time I went to any ECG office to purchase electricity, for example. So clearly, there is that direct link between digitalization and the economy. My uncle in my village, after the NHIS introduced the short code to register or to renew your subscription, he called me. And actually, the time he called, he was in the bush. He was on his farm. But I directed him, and then he didn't have to travel to Mpraeso, our district office, to register or renew his NHIS subscription. He used the services Dr. Baumia has championed and implemented to renew NHIS, for example. You are paying water bills. We are seeing real-time monies coming to the government. All the shortfalls and financial leakages are being blocked. And this is a direct correlation between the economy and digitalization. You go to the port, for example, paperless ports. We are removing the human interface. And we are making sure that as much as possible, those monies that the government needs to get comes to the government.
So, okay, all you are saying is well and good, but I think people will be more interested in the bread and butter.
I'll come there.
Bread and butter issues.
The good on oil,
making ends meet, being able to afford food, being able to afford healthcare, being able to afford fuel. All of that. These are the basic bread and butter issues of the economy that people are worried about.
No problem. Good for oil, for example. We all know what hit the country. COVID and post-COVID economic effect. Check the price of crude international market crude oil price 2022 October, and check that of 2023 October. There was only $2 difference, but at a point in 2022, we were selling a liter of fuel around 22 cedis. He brought an intervention, gold for oil, and with just $2 difference between year-to-year comparison of international crude oil price. At a point, we're selling crude oil around 12 cedis, petrol around 12 cedis. That's an intervention he introduced, for example, and that had a direct correlation as to how much the Ghanaian was paying for fuel, for example. And of course, we can't do a proper economic analysis of what this government has done without comparing our pre-COVID history, what's pertained in the economy pre-COVID, how much we were growing, how much depreciation we had pre-COVID, and just opposing that with intra-COVID and post-COVID. And there are a lot of examples we can cite. So we don't just mention COVID and the Russian-Ukraine war simply because you're looking for excuses. Recently, what happened in Kenya, the root cause of all the taxes the government wanted to introduce, if you read the Reuters reports, is that the Russian-Ukraine war and COVID-19 economic recession has very much affected the Kenyan economy. Kenya used to be one of the best performing economies in Africa.
And they are still better than us if you look at the indicators.
Yes, but COVID
way ahead. COVID, the things that they were
demonstrating,
because their demonstrations were largely peaceful. The things that they were demonstrating about are some of the same things that have been done here.
So I'm saying that the root cause
on a steeper scale.
What engineered the rioting?
It's not rioting, it's demonstration.
They have
demonstrated and they've got their president to back.
What engineered? But Lantam, we are not running away from the fact that a good economy like Kenya also faced difficulties post-COVID. And it's the reason why the government even contemplated increasing taxes. We were here when I mentioned to you that doctors had weeks-long strike. Newly qualified doctors in Kenya at a point could not be employed because the Ministry of Health said, I can't pay your salaries. And before you are employed as a newly qualified doctor, you need to slash your salary by 30%. What would occasion such economic difficulties in an economy like Kenya? So when we mention COVID-19, when we mention the Russian-Ukraine war, typical example is what we've experienced or we've heard happening in Kenya. So we can't make a very good, fair analysis of the Ghanaian situation without comparing our pre-COVID performance to intra and post-COVID performances. That is where you would realize that Dr. Bawumia indeed has performed creditably.
Okay.
We are not going to compare the rate of depreciation and whatnot, of course. They are clearly statistics that no one can run away from.
But anyway,
in the end, like you said,
yes,
it's about bread and butter.
Bread and
we
butter
empathize
issues
with the Ghanaian, with whatever we are going through. But the good thing is that we've turned the corner and things are going to be better.
All right. Mr. Johnson, we've turned the corner, things are going to be better. And let's even dovetail into our discussion on what the Minister for Trade and Industry, GHOne, is trying to do with regard to the prices of cement, which have seen, quite the increase. The producers of cement are talking about factors of production, which is making the prices of cement go up. The Minister for Trade and Industry believes that it's too astronomical. Something must be done about it. Hence, he wants to introduce an LI to regulate the price of cement. Will that be the way to go?
Doc is a good orator. A good orator.
Well, that's why he communicates.
Which corner have we turned? Is it Mankesim corner? Is it Tafo corner? Is it Abulbushi corner?
Is it Jubilee House corner?
What corner have we turned? The Ghanaian economy is in the pocket of the Ghanaian. And if the Ghanaian is not feeling that they can live a decent life, what corner have we turned? What my good friend, the finance minister, is talking about. Haven't we deferred our debts? Haven't the debts been deferred for a future date? Are we paying our debts today, primary and interest? Are we paying? Where is the pound today? 19 cedis. Where is the dollar today? Even with all the inflows of money that are coming in, where is the Ghanaian today? What are market prices? What are utility prices? So what corner have we turned? Which of the corners have we turned? I don't want to repeat a lot of the things you said this morning, because the Ghanaian is feeling the pinch, and that is where the interest should be. We are living on loans, aren't we? IMF, the money they are giving us, is it free money? Is it free money? The 3 billion, is it free money? We will not pay for it. And so going forward, if we do not handle the economy such that we are able to get money in to look after our debts and look after the economy going forward, where do we stand? So let me come to the clinker issue. And this is where, I find that if President Akufo-Addo listened to some of us regarding one district, one factory, perhaps the capital flight issues would have been able to solve it today. When President Akufo-Addo announced one district, one factory, some of us said, concentrate on those areas where we have massive capital flight. And let's see how best we can start adding value to some of these things to stop the capital flight. Did we do it? Are you trying to tell me, Lantam, looking at the price of clinker, and clinker is key for people's habitat. The right to have a roof over your head is key in every country. And you're trying to tell me that this government has come in for 8 years, and they say they are what? They are an added value government, where we need to add value to our resources to get more. And they didn't think of clinker. Do we have the commodities or the resources that make clinker? Do we have it in this country? Do we? We have it. Let me show you and tell me whether we have or not. Do you have limestone in this country?
We do.
Do you have clay in this country?
Of course we do.
Do you have silica in this country?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have iron ore in this country?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have bauxite in this country? Do you have laterite in this country? Do you have gypsum in this country? Do you have pozzolana in this country? Do we have fly ash in this country? We have all. Why are we importing clinker? Why are we importing clinker? These are the attributes. These are what make clinker. Why are we importing clinker? So I ask the question, who really is doing that kind of research that would help us cut some of this capital flight? Go to CSIR. Go and see a lot of the things CSIR have done, which is on the shelves. Nobody takes that research institute. They even have lack of funds to do the things that they are trying to do. Go and see some of the things they've done there. And now we are saying what? Yes, the price of cement is high. However, wouldn't it have been a good idea for the Minister of Industry, for those who import, real estate developers, to sit around the table and discuss this? Wouldn't that have been the way forward? That, guys, the way the price of cement is going up is a challenge. And even the Minister of Finance should be part and parcel of it, because there are taxes.
I mean, the Trade and Industry Minister has had, that kind of discussions with those who manufacture cement.
No.
Those kinds of discussions
the Trade and Industry Minister indicated that he called them to their office and told them they should be very mindful of the way prices are going up. Mm-hmm. Not sit down and discuss it as to how we can conquer that. That wasn't done. And when he wanted to bring and I'm not against what he's trying to do, because you cannot keep increasing cement prices when people are sleeping on the streets. However, government has a responsibility. Government has a responsibility in taxes, don't they? Mm-hmm. To look at the tax structure. And even if you're going to be deliberate with that. Because people have to live. There are quite a number of people in this country who have started their building, and because of cement prices, they haven't been able to. And the purchasing power of the ordinary Ghanaian, has it increased? When was the last time your salary increased? Right now, let's say you were building. Do you think the salary you are on can build a house? Do you think so? So it is a question of actually sitting down and going into it step by step with those who produce cement, and even push them and tell them, look, we have resources and we have the natural resources in this country to manufacture clinker. All you guys, why don't you come together and see how we can get a clinker industry in Ghana? Who is talking about it? Who? When the cost of money is going up, when the exchange rate is escalating, how? Because they are also looking at their profits. Look, the Trade and Industry Minister should tell us and show us how they are making astronomical profit. Lay it to bear. Tell us. A, B, C, D, E is what I've seen. X, Y, Z is the reason why they are increasing. However, if we can all come to an agreement where some of these profits, we can reduce it so that cement can be cheaper for people to buy and build their house. Because remember, you building a house doesn't mean that it's only you. People also need to do what? To build and rent. No be so?
Yeah.
Because today, is government building houses for Ghanaians? Where? Tell me where.
Well, there are a few affordable housing projects.
In the last 8 years, how many affordable housing has government built in the last 8 years?
I mean, the Ministry for Works and Housing, launched a project for affordable housing. It was announced.
So tell me where it's been built.
It's not started yet. But
when? Not start. When is it going to start?
It's in the pipeline.
When?
It's in the pipeline.
If it so happens that the MPP don't come back, where is that policy going to be? Where? That's why some of us say that there are certain policies and certain parts of the economy you don't play politics with. Housing is one of them. You'll agree, cement prices are high, won't you? Mm-hmm. I'm sure Doc will agree, cement prices are high. Something needs to be done about it, no be so? Is this the right way to go? Maybe not. But prices are going high. And if you sit around the table and you jaw, and the cement people say, we are not taking it, then you have to find a way to make sure that cement prices come down. Because it started 2008, how much was cement? 2015, how much was cement? Even 2020, how much was cement? Cement is what, and how much now? 102 cedis, a bag. How many people are going to be able to afford it? And as I said, housing is key for everybody. It is not a privilege, it is a right. And this is something that we should all be concerned. Not only the Minister of Trade and Industry, everybody should be concerned because it affects all of us. Look at the number of kiosks people sleep in. The number of kiosks scattered around the metropolis. People sleep in kiosks in today's Ghana, 2024.
Well, there are those who even sleep on the streets. They make, the interchanges and the spaces under the interchanges.
There's a lady just outside your office here. Just outside, driving in. She sleeps out there. An elderly lady. She's sleeping on the bare concrete.
Yeah.
And we are happy. It's an issue we need to deal with, but we need to deal with as a country. Cement prices are going up. We need to find a way of bringing those cement prices down. For me, the way to bring cement prices down is to produce it ourselves. Especially when we have all the resources in terms of the natural resources to do clinker in Ghana. The added value there would also be able to export, if not abroad, to our fellow West African countries, which brings in foreign exchange. So ask me, who's thinking? I'm done.
Look, let me come to you now. Doesn't Mr. GHOne make a valid point that perhaps we should look at putting in place the measures to start producing the clinker now?
And I'll come to his valid point, Mr. GHOne made. And not to digress or take us back, Mr. GHOne was asking if indeed we are turning the corner. And the signs are there for us to know that indeed we are turning the corner. We look at where we went and our macroeconomic indicators and where we found ourselves, especially 2 years ago. If you look at how much the cedi depreciated in 2022, if you look at how our inflation was skyrocketing, especially in 2022, and where we are, if you look at how much industry is growing, over 6% now, if you look at how much agri sector is growing, over 4%, everything put together. The first quarter GDP growth was 4.7. Previously, the IMF and the World Bank had tipped Ghana to grow around 2.7, 2.8. But just this week or last week, the IMF has revised their note that they expect Ghana to grow about 3%. That's turning the corner. Because during COVID, we were tipped to grow at negative 1.5. And everything came to a standstill. And we saw the effects the Ghanaian had to go through in 2021, 2022, and to a large extent last year. And if you look at how things have stabilized and how much the economy is gearing up, and activities we see in the economy, the banking sector, manufacturing, production, everything points to the fact that things are going well. And it's not out of nothing that we have these reliefs coming in. And Mr. GHOne made some statement that we are not servicing our debt. That's not the case. We had various types of debts. We had the multilateral or multinational kind of debts, the IMFs and the rest. We had the bilateral, country to country, and the commercial, the Eurobond and all that. What we were not servicing was the bilateral debt. Ghana owing, let's say, China, Ghana owing, let's say, Kenya, Ghana owing, let's say, Togo. Those are the bilateral debts. Those were the debts we're not servicing. T-bills were being paid. For example, the Eurobond, we were still paying our debt. This year alone, we've paid, or we are going to pay $400 million of our debt. So we were servicing our debt, except our bilateral debt are the ones we're not servicing. And from the negotiations, we are not just postponing our debt, we are postponing our debt at a cheaper interest rate. And the cumulative effect is that how much originally we're supposed to have paid, we've slashed down the figures to give some breathing space to the Ghanaian and the economy to mobilize funds to pay our debts later.
Right.
That's not the topic we are discussing.
So to that cement issue.
To chip in.
Yeah. So back to the cement issue. Let's stay on
the clinker issue. I mean, Mr. Jantua, the ministry sought to meet the producers. Even yesterday, there was supposed to be a meeting yesterday. So the minister called the producers to come to the round table for us to judge. When the producers rather got there at the ministry, they decided not to go into the meeting because they claim that the minister did not tell them you're going to have journalists and media men around. So the mere presence of journalists or media men, put off the producers, and they didn't go to the round table. Government wants to sit with them, like Mr. Jantua was trying to say. Government wants to know what goes into the pricing. If indeed it's about taxes, then government will come in to know, okay, after all, 60%, 70% of your production is as a result, or your price determination is as a result of taxes. So from the background, or as a government, this is how much we are going to help you with in terms of taxes. But of course, if there are other things that are unbeknown to us, that indeed we all can see to be in a way an outlier, then the government steps in rightly to make sure that we are controlling things. So government is advocating there is clear call for bilateral discussions, in quotes, between producers and the government, for government to see what goes into determining your prices and where we can step in, areas where we believe that you can't cross in the interest of the Ghanaian. So that's what government is doing. So necessarily we are not trying to push an airline down the throats of producers or down the throats of sellers. Rather, government is looking at the best way possible to making sure that we are not shortchanged, in quotes, when it comes to price determination. And who is thinking of tomorrow? As Mr. Jantua is saying, Mr. Jantua believes we have the resources. Dr. Bawumia is thinking of tomorrow. His vision for the mining industry is clear. He stated it. We have the raw materials. He espoused them at UPSA, and he believes that we can have 100% Ghanaian ownership if we take a second look at our mining sector. The raw materials Mr. Jantua listed, they are all here. But Bawumia is saying that moving forward, and it was as though he knew we were going to get into a situation like this, for him to have preempted and offered solution that he believes will be long-lasting, that he believes would have a positive impact on the Ghanaian. It was as though he was being prophetic. Today, whatever Dr. Bawumia said about our mining sector, Mr. Jantua has relived and re-narrated everything that needs to be done. This is where I give Mr. Jantua hope that Dr. Bawumia says that we have a lot of the natural resources, and he's coming to set up the Mineral Development Bank to help miners. He's coming to use our own Ghanaians, because we have our lecturers spread across our universities who are good. Give them the resources, support them as a government, let them do the feasibility studies, create a vehicle that will support miners, let them mine our minerals. Government, through the gold purchasing program and the mineral purchasing program, would buy those raw materials, increase our reserves at the Bank of Ghana, give cushioning and impetus to our currency, and turn those raw materials into
we're talking about the manufacture of cement, right? And the key ingredient in manufacturing of cement,
the raw materials, the limestones, and how Ghana can benefit from our own resources, have 100% Ghanaian owned industries to be able to produce cement at an affordable price or rise.
So the solution to our cement problem is
Dr. Bawumia. Solution is what Dr. Bawumia has offered. And Mr. Jantua is asking, who is talking about it? And he's right. Perhaps he didn't hear Dr. Baumia talk about it.
So we have to wait for Dr. Baumia to become president.
He has mentioned it. It's few months away.
Today, so my building project should stop.
No, today, that is why
I
the
should
government...
go and vote for Dr. Baumia
today,
while my building project
the
stops.
short-term measures...
I'll wait for the industry
Lantam,
and the limestone and all of that to be mined to start doing
Lantam, the short-term measure is what government is seeking to do. Bring the manufacturers together. Let's see your pricing component. Let's see what can be done. And if indeed there are things untoward happening, government steps in to bring the prices down. That is the short-term measure government is doing. Moving forward, long-term and everlasting measure is what Dr. Baumia is proposing for us come 2025 and beyond. And this is where I call on you to come into the fray, help us propagate those messages. I felt a bit bad when Mr. Jantua didn't know Mr. Baumia had spoken about this, because he clearly asked, who is talking about it? Dr. Baumia has spoken extensively about this. He's given us the blueprint, how he intends to carry out these things. The fact that we are going to use our own Ghanaian people. We have the brains in the country. We fall on the brains. Government will provide the needed environment, create the necessary vehicle for the miners to have some breathing space, give them financial support. ADB is there to support our break. NIB intended to support the manufacturing industry. Now, the Mineral Development Bank, Dr. Baumia proposing, is coming in to help solve all these issues. And on the issue of housing, this government has constructed this to constructing 8,000 housing units across the country. The most recent one is what we witnessed, the groundbreaking ceremony at Pokwase. Yes, government is in the process of providing houses, and no government in the history of this Port Republic has constructed and is constructing more housing units than the new Patriotic Party.
We have not even constructed one.
What?
There was a groundbreaking ceremony.
For
what you are talking about.
Is the latest. The Pokwase is the latest.
Yes.
But go to Kumasi, go to Volta.
But we've not really started.
The State Housing Corporation. Nanapia.
Is there a single housing unit available?
Every time.
It's not that you're about to start.
Every time he's advertising. Go to the social media platform. He's advertising the houses, not artistic impressions. Constructed housing units, affordable ones. They are there.
How much are they?
When I'm done with my submission, I'll go to his page and show Mr. Jantua 8,000 housing units. But of course,
but you're talking about the one the State Housing Company is advertised. Because I know that people, if you want, the last time I think I spoke to the State Housing Company, they said if you want to build a house, you can just come to them. They'll show you how much it costs to pay them, and then they'll do it for you. Are you talking about that, or you're talking about?
I'm talking about what they have built across the country.
And it's affordable.
It's affordable, and the pricing and the payment is not one-off payment because it's government. The government has given the modus and how payments should be paid in installments. And Dr. Baumia introduced the rental assistance scheme, and we can all attest to it. Over 1,000 people have benefited from the rental assistance scheme Dr. Baumia has proposed. So, Dr. Jantua, all your worries, Dr. Baumia has lasting solutions for all your worries. Rather, during the recent housing and population census, the housing deficit as a country is about 1.8 billion. So indeed, there's a lot that needs to be done.
Yes.
And government recognizes that there's still a lot that can be done. Government is fixing it. The proposals are there. A leader who has seen and experienced the problems and is having solutions to those problems. Everything resides in Dr. Baumia. We empathize with the Ghanaian when you need to go on the market and the prices of cement and whatnot is high. That is why government is stepping in. Whatever ally the ministry intends to lay in parliament is in the interest of the Ghanaian. The minister has stated unequivocally that his interest is the Ghanaian interest, the fact that he needs to protect consumers. So indeed, we would appeal to the cement manufacturers. Let's come to the round table. Let's speak. Let's see how in the end the beneficiary or the consumer, the Ghanaian, is going to benefit. Are there areas government can tweak? Are there areas you can tweak yourself for us to have a unified front to bring prices down to the benefit of the Ghanaian and in the interest of the ordinary Ghanaian? But of course, the long-term effect and the long-term solution Dr. Baumia is proposing for the mining sector.
Opportunist comments that my good friend.
The man is in the seat today.
Yeah, but he's not a driver.
He's not a president.
He's not a driver.
Don't go there.
He's
So
not a president.
you're trying to tell me that the president is stubborn.
Come
It's not
The
the president
president has his vision. The president has his vision.
The president
and
is
the timelines
stubborn.
for doing things.
If the president's vision needs added value, he, the vice president, with all the so-called vision he's talked about, cannot go and sit with his boss and say, Mr. President, this is your vision. Have you thought we can do this? Have you thought we can do this? The president won't listen to him. You want to wait for us to give you the steer that you're already by it before you do something.
Yeah, but I'm not
You're
driving.
What
He's
do you
not driving.
Please,
Someone else is driving.
Let's stop that. It's teamwork. It's teamwork. Who chose Dr. Baumia? And what reasons was he chosen to be vice president? That were some of the reasons given us. And you're trying to tell me that they don't work in tandem? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Is that what you're trying to tell me? We are using this bit, and the president has the ultimate, to do what? To let him escape his responsibility. He's the vice president of Ghana. When he goes out there, he talks for the president and vice president. If some of the things that he's doing, the president is doing, he doesn't like. Why doesn't he resign? Why is he still there? When you're talking, I was quiet. Why is he still there? That you want us to wait till next year before some of the things we can, So why don't you get him to start now? Some of the things he's talking about.
He's talking about long-term solutions and the prospects that this country has.
Let me give you an example.
Some of the concerns you raised. These are the plans that he has to implement if he's voted in. But in the short term, the Ministry for Trade and Industry is trying to do A, B, and C to stabilize the prices of cement.
All those vice presidents we've had, have they not campaigned on their boss's legacy? Have they not? And one bit which Doc actually talked about, the disabled, they have to wait for you to come into power before they start enjoying. Is that what you're trying to tell me? It isn't something you can do now as vice president.
It's barely 6 months to elections. Barely 6 months to elections.
So he had all these ideas all this while, and not one of those ideas he could have got his boss to take. Is that what you're trying to tell me? When was the last time you heard Dr. Baumia talk about exchange rates? When was the last time you heard Dr. Baumia talk about prices in the markets? When was the last time you heard Dr. Baumia talk about petrol price increases? The economy that is affecting Ghanaians. When was the last time you heard him talk about it? That was his remit, wasn't it? That was why he was head of economic management team. And if that has collapsed, how can we trust that what he's saying will be able to do? He's
because he's not in charge. He's not in charge.
Please stop that. Stop that language that he's not in charge. Is he not part and parcel of President Akufo-Addo's team?
He is.
So what is his responsibility? He just sits there, lame duck, and put his hands between his legs.
He's head of the economic.
I said when they go to cabinet, he sits there and puts his hands between his legs. Doesn't talk.
Yeah, but if he talks,
he doesn't have an opinion.
And the president doesn't take it.
He doesn't have an opinion. So lobby your other ministers to get the president to listen. Because what Dr. Baumia is telling us is that President Akufo-Addo is a stubborn old man. That is what he's telling us. And President Akufo-Addo will not listen to anybody. Because I have bright ideas. But the president won't listen. He should tell us that. The toll, when we abolished the toll, I went to him, I told him, they should abolish the toll. He didn't mind me. He should tell us. The truth is that his position as vice president and the economic management team was taken over by Ken Ofori-Atta. And the president was listening to Ken Ofori-Atta, then listened to the vice president. And that is where the challenge was. And that is where the challenge still is.
No, but Ken Ofori-Atta is no more.
Do you know what Ken Ofori-Atta is doing behind the scenes?
I don't know. I don't know. What is he doing? What do you know that I don't know?
I said, okay, let's twiddle our toes and twiddle our thumbs in this country and not ask the hard questions. Let's do that. Let's do that. Because really and truly, where the economy is today, the Ghanaian's pocket is what is most important. You can talk about all the micro this and micro that. IMF can come and tell us the country is this, the country is that, growth this. Is it being felt in the Ghanaian pocket? Is it? When the Ghanaian goes to the market, can they afford? What did you say this morning? 5 pieces of tomato. How much?
30 cedis.
30 cedis. I went to the market last Sunday, 2 Saturdays back. 1 finger of okra, 1 cedi. Okra, 1 cedi. Nima market. Go.
1 okra.
Yeah, 1 okra, 1 cedi. 5 cedis. A huge ball of onion, 10 cedis. And we spend nearly 300 million in importing onions. And you tell me we are telling the economy is turning its corner. Tell it to the Marines. Because Ghanaians aren't feeling it. Ghanaians aren't feeling it. We are very lucky that this year, the rains haven't felt hard. Like you will see, the challenge we'll go through with floods in this country. So go on and, praise, clap your hands. Say, Dr. Baumia, do X, Y, Z. Yeah.
Yes, Doc.
Mr. Jantua,
briefly, and then let's move on to the next issue.
Asked a simple question. Who is talking about these things? We have the natural resources. We have the raw materials. Who is talking about these things?
Has Dr. Baumia talked about clinker? Has he talked about clinker?
He has.
When did he talk about it?
Mr. Jantua did not pay attention to Mr. Baumia.
I mean, the moment they asked you the question, you would have said quickly. But Dr. Baumia has talked about ABCD.
Mr. Jantua did not listen to Dr. Baumia. That's why.
Let's go ahead.
But he's asking if Dr. Baumia talked about clinker.
Let's go ahead and play music.
Raw materials, the manufacturing of cement. We have them here. Limestone. We have them here.
Yeah. Why didn't you mention it before?
I said it.
Why did you mention it?
I said it.
Why did you wait for me to say it before you are coming?
You started that topic. Mr. Jantua started that topic.
Just go ahead.
So you asked the question.
Go ahead and try and deceive us.
And Dr. Baumia indeed has mentioned it. And Dr. Baumia and the government will continue to campaign on the records of this government. We are going to campaign on the records of free SHS. We are going to campaign on the records of free TVET. We are going to campaign on the records of Agenda 111.
But you won't campaign on the record of Galamsey.
On the records of road construction. Mr. Jantua
things
is
that
asking,
are affecting us.
Why are we not running away from anything?
Okay.
The government has performed unprecedented records in the education sector, unprecedented records, road construction, the factories we are setting up, the Agenda 111 coming on board, and everything the government has done. We are not going to run away from them. If it took a single day for the government to add 307 ambulances to our 55 semi-functioning ambulances before this government took over power, we are going to campaign on those records. We are going to campaign on the records of the drone system, unprecedented, even in the UK and the US, that Baumia has championed and has actually fulfilled such promises.
Very well.
No one is trying to say, the way that Mr. Jantua is trying to position the argument, painting the president in a certain light, that's not what Dr. Baumia is saying. Today, if you give Mr. Ekufuado, His Excellency, the opportunity to tell us what he wants to do, should he get the opportunity to contest again, the manifesto that His Excellency will bring will be entirely different from what he campaigned on in 2016, what he campaigned on in 2020. And Mr. Mohammed, for example, he was president, but he went home and thought of the zongos of deserving mortuaries. Why didn't he implement those things? At the time, for example, the NDC was splashing our money on a confirm and branding of buses. Dialysis patients were dying. But Mr. Mohammed went home and thought that in my next time, if you get an opportunity, I'm going to make dialysis and whatnot an emergency. So every government going into an election will have fresh ideas. It doesn't mean what you are currently executing is not good. But of course, in 2020, this is what the government campaigned on, and the good people of Ghana gave that opportunity.
So let's now
Mr. Jantua is saying
dovetail into the issue of the IMF money and the 360 million. Okay, 30 seconds. Yes.
What Mr. Jantua is saying is that once you've held a position before, once you are ever close to power, then you shouldn't have any fresh idea, because you've been president, you've been vice president, and moving forward, you sat down and you thought of what you believe will solve our problems moving forward. Mr. Jantua is saying that no. Once you've been a leader before or you've been close
Don't put words
to
in my
power,
mouth. That's not
you
what I'm
shouldn't
saying.
have fresh ideas. The government had ideas 2016 to 2020. The government had ideas 2020 to 2024. The government and the vice president would have ideas 2025
Okay,
and
very
beyond.
well.
Should the vice
Very well.
president
So-
win the elections 2028, he will come back with fresh ideas.
Okay.
They are not running away
So-
from
so
anything.
dovetail
He's
very
not
well,
painting
very well,
or
very
putting
well.
the president or painting the president a certain light.
All right, very
He's
well.
rather having ideas. If he didn't have ideas, we would talk. We
Okay,
are
very
only
well.
having
So,
a
Doc,
problem
now,
with a man
now,
who has
thank you,
ideas.
thank you very
And that
much.
is where
I think you've
beg
made
to
the
differ.
point. 360
Mr. Jantua's
million
argument.
US dollars of IMF money has hit the Bank of Ghana's accounts. So, would you say that this signals, the beginning of the end to Ghana's economic situation?
So it comes back to the initial conversation we're having.
Yes.
That to do a proper post-mortem on the Ghanaian economy with this government, you need to go back to where the government started from. Pre-COVID, we saw the economic indicators. We saw how much CD was devaluing, the rate. Pre-COVID, we saw all these things. And the fact that we're doing an average of 7% GDP growth. We saw how much CD was exchanging to the dollar. We saw fuel prices. We saw food prices and all that pre-COVID. And then the world experienced the worst economic recession since the Spanish flu outbreak, since 1918. What the world experienced, we'll go back to the issue of Kenya and the fact that irrespective of whether it was a riot or a demonstration or the people
demonstrations.
or the
There
people
were no riots.
stopped
There were
a certain
demonstrations.
passage of taxes. The root cause was that, per the Reuters report and every report you'd read, the Russia-Ukraine war and the COVID-19 pandemic has affected most economies. Go to Germany, the worst inflation they've experienced in 70 years after COVID. Go to America, 40 years worst inflation. Go to the UK. UK, in the process of doing COVID, has changed how many prime ministers? Our own Mr. Boateng, who is a Ghanaian and the former finance secretary for UK. What happened to him? How many days did he spend in office? And today, the economy in UK and the elections the UK is going to have, key amongst issue is the economy. And it's the reason why certain people are losing elections everywhere. So indeed, what the world experienced, including Ghana, was grave. The effect of COVID was grave because indeed, we saw the economy pre-COVID. And during the heat of the moment, like I said earlier, 2022, we saw the level of depreciation. 2022, we saw the level of inflation. But moving forward, what has been the progress made? The policies the government puts in place, the IMF bailout we went for, and what not, everything is yielding results. To me, and to the party, and to the MPP, that is where we need to concentrate. The fact that, indeed, the president mentioned that he knows how to turn the corners when the economy hits a rock. But to bring back to life any life lost, we can't bring anyone back to life. So the decision of government to prioritize life and individuals during COVID was apt. And I agree with the president. If I'm a leader, I would think of saving lives at every opportune moment as compared to certain human benefits. But lives are important. That's what the president and the government prioritized. Post-COVID, during the heat of the moment, when everywhere in the world we had issues, economic turmoil everywhere in the world, Ghana also suffered same. We went for IMF bailout, and as part of the conditionalities was to restructure our debt, including our external debt. And once again, we were paying our loans, except bilateral loans were the ones we were not paying. So government went out to meet our official creditors, our bilateral debtors, in quotes. And government has had a very, very fruitful discussions with our debtors. It's not just the money coming in. The money coming in was conditioned on the fact that we're able to restructure your external debt. So with our bilateral debt, we've restructured and the payment postponed. And the good thing is that we've had the interest on those loans slashed down. So within the period, we'd go back and pay our loans. We have about $2.8 billion we are going to save as a country from our bilateral debt alone. When it comes to the Eurobond market, government has been giving a tax or debt amnesty to the tune of $4.7 billion. Once again, interest rates reduced for the rest, And within the period of payment, we are going to save an extra $4.4 billion on those loans. Putting everything together, we are doing over $10 billion in tax debt suspension and debt cancellation, which is a very, very positive news for the country. It shows that our bilateral partners and international partners still have confidence in the managers of the economy. So the IMF money coming in is contingent on those successes the country chopped when we had to go out and restructure our debt. To us, as a country, to us as a government, it's a positive news. It brings up positive speculation in the economy. The monies we are supposed to gather or cough to go and service those loans that have spanned over the years since independence, those monies can now be put into other areas. Now, the finance minister will propose to cabinet as to whether we need to put a percentage of those monies otherwise we would have used to service our loans into the sinking fund for future when we need to restart payment of those loans, or like President Kufuor had for the HIPIC relief, set and have some infrastructural projects being done and labeling them and inscribing the benefits we are accruing from this restructuring. So It is good for the economy. The economy is bouncing back. We are on the track of bouncing back. Every indicator points to the fact that post-COVID-19 and the Russia-Ukraine war, which has affected almost every economy in the world, including the world superpower like America, Ghana had its own fair share, and the government, through strategic thinking, through hard work, has turned the corner. The indicators are good. The future can only be bright. Now Ghana will have a room to maneuver. Everything is now malleable for us. We're able to meander our way through certain things. We are not compelled to cough or pump monies to go and service our loans. The economy is now having a huge room to operate. We are going to save in terms of monies we would have used to service our debt, and we can put them in other sectors. We still have issues with Agenda 111 we need to complete. We still have free SHS. Dr. Baumia is going to give free education to persons with disability. So a whole lot that government wants to do, and it portends a very positive outlook for our forex. And we continue to encourage Ghanaians and tell Ghanaians that from now onwards, we are going to see a positive impact of whatever has happened in our economy in the past few weeks on our forex. The forex is expected to come down. There are other monies from the World Bank, from the EcoBank, from African Development Bank that will hit our accounts, and all these things are good for us.
Okay.
The projects that stored, just to
let me bring Mr. Jantwai now.
Loan funded that stored. After the deliberations and the debt suspension and debt release, we are going to see massive project construction and reconstruction beginning all over again. So we play with the Ghanaian to have patience with the government. We knew how to turn the economy, and we are on track in doing exactly that.
Mr. Economy, Mr. Jantwai, do you see these monies that have come in turning around the economy? Like Doctor is saying, that the monies that have come and all the measures that have been put in place are going to help bring the economy back to life.
Lantam, all the discussions they've had with the IMF and bilateral creditors, all those results, take it to Parliament. That is where we will see the nitty-gritties of what is being said. Take all those documents to Parliament for Parliament to approve, and then we will see the content of what he's talking about. At the present moment, they are saying it. We don't know. I don't know. Do you know? Do you know? I don't know. He's regurgitating what the finance minister has said. Take it to Parliament, the People's Court, and let's see the nitty-gritties of what is in that document. Doc talks about COVID. He compares us to America. He compares us to Britain. The extent of COVID in America and in Britain, was the extent in Ghana the same? Was it the same? How many regions did we shut down during COVID? Wasn't it Accra and Kumasi? Where else did we shut down? Tell me. And when you look at the IMF report on COVID, what did they say in that report? They said Ukraine and COVID, more COVID, exacerbated Ghana's position did the IMF, the World Bank rep here, Laporte, his World Bank rep, what did he say? He tried to advise our finance minister, please go easy on the loans. Did we listen? Did we listen? Because we were taking loans to do what? To cover a naked city. You're taking loans to cover a naked city. Forgetting that we would have to pay for these loans, forgetting that interest was to be paid on these loans. The fiscal responsibility 5%, what happened to it? Did we not catapult it and we used the reason for COVID? Did we not? Sadly, when they came into power, were we not under IMF? Were we not? And so, in those years that they came in the IMF, there are certain things they couldn't. The moment we jumped out of IMF, what happened? They used COVID to do so many things that were untoward. How much money did we get for COVID? Over 3 billion. Have they been able to account for it? Have they been able to account for it? So what is he telling us? COVID, Ukraine, what is their inflation rate today? Ukraine, are they not exporting grain? Ukraine, today, they're in war with Russia. Is the economy today not better than ours? And we have all the natural resources in this country to get us out. My question is, we are living on loans, aren't we? We are getting money from here, getting money from there, getting money from here, getting money from there into our account, and we are clapping. In your own private life, would you live on loans? Will your family allow you to live on loans? How are we creating extra income to be able to overtake these loans going forward? How? Government expenditure going forward in this election year, where is it? Has government told us? Because of X, Y, and I expected the Minister of Finance, when Ghana was in such a challenging position, some of the projects that they had earmarked to be done, I would expected them to say, guys, where our economy is today, where our finances are today, these projects that we want to do, unfortunately, we don't have the wherewithal to do it. So, we are cutting it. Chile did it. Chile went back to his people and said, unfortunately, where we are, we have overspent. We can't go on, and explain to the Ghanaian. Look, the next government coming in, where are they if it's not loans? Is Ghana not sick and tired of loans? Is Ghana not sick and tired of it? Isn't it embarrassing for a small country like Ghana, with the kind of natural resources we have, to have gone to the IMF 18 times? Isn't it embarrassing? Does that not tell something that is wrong with us? Doesn't it tell us? And while we are clapping for getting loans into our account, how? Okay, let's take it. That yes, we are getting 360 million in our account. Let's take it. It would help us and cushion ourselves. What are we doing then to make sure that our natural resources, our added value will start picking up? What are we doing? What are we doing? Who is telling us? The Minister of Finance. He comes and he tells us, oh, we've gone here, we've done bilateral. What is he telling us about how we are going to generate money? Have we not mortgaged a lot of some of these things we have? Get fund, is it not mortgaged? ESLA, is it not mortgaged? Sinking fund, where is it today? Stabilization fund, where is it today? Where are all these? Are we talking about it? Are we asking ourselves, how are we going to make sure that these types of institutions areas we have that help us shore up our economy, what we are going to do, how we are going to put money in? Is the loans we are getting and we are distributing the loans to do projects? Will we not pay for those loans? Even if the interest is 1%, are we not paying for it? The monies that we're supposed to be used to develop the country, are we not using to pay loans? Are we not? And we are clapping. That is the bit I don't understand. Because I don't see how, me, going for loan to look after my family, and I'll be clapping for going for loan, when I can't generate the kind of income that would help my family live and help me pay school fees for my children and help me maintain the house they are living in, help me pay the rents I'm paying, loan. I don't understand it though. That concept I don't understand. Because this country is not a poor country. We are not poor, Lantam. We are not poor. We are not poor. Yes, Sikaso also come DA. Sikaso come DA. This government, let me reiterate that back to the president. Ampa Sikaso and so come DA. Why? 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 Look, let me give you an example. 2 countries in West Africa have natural salt deposits. Senegal and Ghana. The advantage of Ghana's salt is that the crystals are much larger than even Senegal. We then went into salt production. What have we done? We've given it to one person. One person. When the entire coast can be a salt producing region. What are we doing to the rest? What are we doing to the rest? Gomoa Fete, Apam, all those areas. What are we doing? And let me tell you, salt is white gold. And if we were to plan well, and we were to handle things better, and not make it partisan, Nigeria, they import their salt from Brazil. They can take all our salt. That is foreign exchange. Easy. Another sort of foreign exchange where salt is. The European countries where snow falls heavily. Ask me, what do they use salt for? They use salt to melt the roads when it's icy. Huge market. Huge market. And we give it 1%. There are even others in that area. Why is it difficult for us to build from bottom up? Why? Why is it difficult? Why is it difficult? Today, let me give you another example. Côte d'Ivoire. They are the second largest producer of pineapples. Côte d'Ivoire. Next to Costa Rica. Costa Rica is number 1. You're trying to tell me, and our pineapple soils, our pineapple attracts premium when it goes on the international market. And you're trying to tell me today, we cannot grow pineapples on plantation basis. And you know something? The waste leaves of the pineapple, you know what it's used for? You know what it's used for? It's used to produce leather. Leather. After you harvest the pineapple from the pineapple plant, the leaves from it, the crown, is used for leather. And you know the disadvantage of leaving a pineapple leaf to rot? It emits methane, which is bad for the, what do you call it? The climate.
The atmosphere.
Yeah, the atmosphere. What are we doing? You're trying to tell me we cannot do plantation pineapple in this country to give people what? Employment. We cannot do it. Don't we have juice companies in this country? And we can sell in huge quantities? What are we talking about? So let us dance with the economy. Let us dance with it and not sit and think progressively. And you see, it is not the partisanship that is important. It is how, as a country, we build the nation together. That is where the importance is. Because what I've seen I can only use the Fourth Republic. In our Fourth Republic, we did this, we did that, we did this, we did that, and this one is good for us, and this one is good for us. How does that help the ordinary Ghanaian? You are talking about 111 hospitals. When they are no more in power, and we built 111 hospitals. How does that help us? Because in governance, there's perpetual succession, where you come, you take over, you continue, and you add. You come, you take over, continue, and you add. Let me end by saying, Lantam, if we do not look at how we practice politics in this country, where we are heading for, we will get to a point of no return. You know why? because the youth of today don't have the kind of patience we had. The only reason why we haven't gone down the line of Kenya is because Ghanaians have a certain degree of patience. And our governments should not take it for granted. Should not take it for granted. Because when that match is touched, we coming back is going to be difficult. So let's continue to play the politics we are playing, the way we are playing it, to our own detriment. And then we will see where we will head for.
Right. You're still watching GH Today here on GHOne television.
Sorry, come here.
We will move on to
You don't have to
our
come in
next
everything
issue.
I say. You don't
We'll move
have
on to our next issue, which has got
Everything
to
I
do
say, you don't
with
need to come in.
If you say things that
what
are fundamentally
let's stay on
inaccurate.
let's stay on course. Let's stay on
Fundamentally
course,
inaccurate.
gentlemen.
I need to-
the
to
next
you,
issue that has got to do with
Fundamentally
the seeming uncertainty surrounding the IGP, following reports of his removal, among other things. The committee that did that investigation into the leak tape where there was a plot to remove him and all of that have come out with their reports. The chairman of the committee says he wants to do his own report. And other members of the committee, everybody has signed their reports except the chairman. Lawyers for the IGP are saying that this is proof that the chairman of the committee, the Honorable Atachia, has a bias against the IGP, among other things. Let me hear from you on this particular one. I mean, is your government trying to plot to remove the IGP? Let me hear you briefly on this in the next 2 minutes, because we've run out of time. So
okay.
just 2 minutes.
So 30 seconds.
Don't go off topic.
No.
Let's stick to the issue.
I'll stick on it.
Stick to the
Mr.
issue.
GHOne said we're giving salt production to only one person. At least it shows that we didn't have any salt production unit. And this government has taken steps.
There were other people producing salt.
To give salt production
There
to
were
someone.
other people producing salt.
The field is
There
wide
are
open.
other people producing
Anyone that
salt.
wants to join,
We just have to
everyone-
commercialize it.
Everyone is welcome.
Okay, very well.
And the government is doing a lot.
Very well.
All
Point
these
well
things
made.
that
Point
Janto
well
was saying.
made. So back to the
government is
issue.
doing a lot of industrialization.
Back to the
address
issue.
all
Are
these
you trying
issues.
to remove the IGP?
If the president wants to remove the IGP, the procedure is clear. There were 2 IGPs before our current IGP, if I'm not mistaken, under this government, isn't it? Did the president go through certain machinations to get those people out?
Yeah, because those people retired. Their time was up.
The president could have still given them extra time to serve, isn't
But
it?
there's a limit to that.
At the point, the one before our current IGP, the president could have given him another extra time, for example. And our president is very frontal with issues. He doesn't beat corners. The Kumi Preko man. He doesn't lurk around issues when he needs to, strike. He strikes. So indeed, if the president wants,
Sometimes too late.
if the president wants the IGP out, the president
Too
will
late.
strike. That's His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Okay.
He will not go through people. So indeed, it came to bear clearly during the interrogations that it was just people's own calculations and speculations and engineering. It had nothing to do with the president. And we were told that even the tape leaked even before it got to the president. Meaning, when whatever happened, the president was not even in the known. We all heard everything before the president heard whatever had happened. It has nothing to do with the president. The people who appeared before the committee clearly said so. Everyone that came to testify did not finger the president or the presidency or the government in any way. So indeed, if the president wants to fire the IGP,
Okay.
he has the constitutional backing and the processes are there
All right.
for him to do so.
Very well.
He's not trying to do that.
Very well.
Clearly, whatever has happened is not within his domain. Parliament is doing its work. As to certain biases, it's personal. And once again, it is not the president, it is
Okay.
not the government,
Very well.
and it is not the party.
Very well.
The
Mr.
president
Janto.
appointed the current IGP, and the president and the government, we are working closely with the IGP, and we
Okay.
all can attest to it.
All right, very well. Mr. Janswa, let me hear your comment on this very briefly.
Is it rumor that has triggered this perception? Is it rumor? So far as I'm concerned, the president appoints, the president sacks. Not until we've heard from the presidency that the IGP should go. I don't see what the challenge is. If it is rumor, let's quench that rumor. But most importantly, it would be great if there was a statement from the presidency indicating that, because the IGP's position is a very important position because of security of this country. So it would be great for there to be a statement from the presidency indicating this false rumor. And then it cuts everything. You don't want a situation where down the road, 2-3 months later, oh, the president has relieved the IGP of his position. And that would do what? That would have confirmed the rumor that was going on. So, because of the position of the IGP in the country, in terms of security, in terms of stabilization, the president's office should bring out a statement through his, his, I don't know whether Bediatu is still secretary or he's just the ambassador at large. You don't know. He hasn't said anything to us. That's another thing I don't understand. How you've made somebody ambassador at large and you don't tell us the position he's holding, whether he still holds it or not. But I think the presidency should send a letter out indicating that the IGP's position is still firm.
All right.
Period.
Very well. Thank you very much, Mr. Jantwa, and thank you very much, Dr. Ezekiel. GHOne being is NPP communications team member. Thank you for coming. Mr. Jantwa is member of the CPP.
Presidential aspirant.
Thank you very much for coming.
Mr.
Jantwa. We'll wrap up the breakfast review segment here. There's still more to come here on GH today. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the show. This is GH Today here on GHOne TV. It's now time for Hard Talk. And on Hard Talk this morning, as we are inching closer to the December polls, we sit with personalities who want to govern the country, Ghana, one of which is an independent presidential candidate. His name is Richard Suma, and he joins me here in the studio. Richard, good morning to you.
Good morning, madam.
How are you?
Hi, Special Grace, I'm fine.
How is Ghana?
Ghana? Oh, Ghana is a beautiful place to be. It has been a beacon of hope for Africa. It has been the beacon of the transformational agenda that was set at some time back. But along the line, we truncated it. And we started to gravitate towards doing things that are not productive. And as at now, to speak sincerely about Ghana, we are on a very fast lane to self-destruction. And if care is not taken, we will definitely crash within the shortest possible time. So that is my fair assessment about Ghana.
Of Ghana. But let's talk about you, Richard Suma. Who is Suma?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank GHOne, the management, for giving me this huge platform, because GHOne is one of the biggest television platforms in Ghana today. So to have the opportunity to be here having this conversation with you is quite an honor. And to thank the good people of Ghana also for tuning in, having the pleasure to listen to us. I always say that I'm a servant of God. I am a messenger. I'm an elect, a man set on a mission, and a man that has a divine assignment to speak to the people of Ghana, to let them know that the direction we are going is certainly not the best, and we need to change the narrative. So that is the premise of where I stand. Then again, professional-wise, I'm a marketing consultant.
Okay.
I've been in the space of marketing. I've been in the media marketing space. I'm a media practitioner to myself. I equally hosted some couple of talk shows sometimes back. And I'm also an advocate for the development and empowerment of the informal sector, which I've been doing since 2008.
Okay.
So I have been at the forefront of championing the needs and meeting the wants and aspirations of those operators within the informal sector of Ghana.
So what particularly are their needs?
Well, most of these people, their need is about grooming, access to low interest capital, access to support, because you see, some of them, they are doing their petty businesses, but they don't know that these businesses are small businesses that will have to metamorphose into medium businesses and eventually grow to become large-scale businesses. So they see themselves as people who have been marginalized, people who don't matter in the issues of Ghana. But these are the people who hold the economy of Ghana together. They are the engine. So if you look at their complete need in holistic way, it is about access to low-interest funding and who can put all of them together and give them a sense of direction and hope.
So for you as Richard Suma, one day a marketer, a media practitioner decides to lead the people of Ghana. Why?
Yes, like I said in my first statement, that I'm a servant of God. You see, Ghana is a nation that we all know that they say, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Therefore, Ghana as a secular state, we all know that when you put the demographics together, mainly we are a religious-based nation, a Christian nation, where many have been praying over the years, because many have seen the direction this nation is going and know and foresee that if care is not taken, something bad is going to happen. Therefore, they have been praying. So along my journey of life, in the year 2001, when I came back from Takwa School of Mines, I was working with Kingdom Transport. Then the calling came. I had a calling to resign from Kingdom Transport. And I'm like, God, how do I resign from Kingdom Transport? If I leave, how am I going to survive? But it's like God said, no, I have a mission for you. I have an assignment for you. I have something I want you to do for me. And I say, what is it? Say, yes, along the prayer point. So look, I want you to become the leader of the nation Ghana. I said, why? How can I become a leader of the nation Ghana? Ghana is quite a state that sometimes they are good, sometimes they are bad. Sometimes when you emerge on the public space, sometimes it can be very vociferous. And if you are not careful, you cannot stand a minute. So looking at it all, at some point, I said, okay, fine. One thing led to the other. Then I resigned from Kingdom Transport and I faced my future. and I've been grooming myself behind the scene, preparing myself through the help of God, that eventually one day I will want to unveil myself to the people, for them to also listen that there is somebody somewhere who God has also been working on him, that at appropriate time he will reveal him to the nations. So this is where I stand, and this is the main motivation for which I realize that if you look at the children, the youth, the aged, I look at the way we are wasting around, energies are dissipating. Aged people who have worked for several years for no reason of theirs, who perhaps for one or two issues of life have become like puppets. They can't live a good life. They are beggars. They are living a miserable life. When I look at children, the way the children are being paraded on the street, if you look at the frustration parents are going to, some kids even fall sick, basic sickness. They are kept at the hospital. Their parents can't pay their fees. When I look at all these things, sometimes I said, I don't want to venture into this space. But I look at the children, I look at the aged, I look at the youth, I say, look, somebody must dare to make a difference. That is the main motivation which I decided to run for the highest office of the land, to serve my people if given the opportunity.
In your quest to make a difference, what are these plans? You've talked about the youth, you've talked about the aged. What is your plan for all these brackets?
Well, you see, to start with, Ghana, if anybody tells you that as a nation, you should be running a completely radical, right-oriented agenda where it is free enterprise, it is the private sector that's supposed to be the primary engine of growth. The state is not supposed to be involved in anything where you are looking at just wasting your years and looking up to your foreign donors, the Bretton Woods Institution, IMF, the World Bank, to support you grow. You are completely running into a ditch. Now, if you look at us, the main problem of Ghana is about unemployment. It's about joblessness of the people. It's about the fact that the people see only the few at the top enjoying the resources of the state, and it is not being funneled down to the vast majority of the people. Therefore, I look at how we can create sustainable, tangible, sufficient, respectable job for people to really do or capitalize upon by diversifying the economy, by introducing venture capital system, by introducing the revolving fund, by identifying businesses that are various stages of growth and build what we call strategic alliance. Because you see, to grow a country, you need to build what we call synergy. You need to galvanize the people. You need to identify businesses and partner them, help them expand, help them groom their business, give them access to expanded market, give them cheaper power, and give them things that will make their productivity very meaningful to them. Therefore, when you do so, we're able to expand the economy. The state itself too must be at the forefront of creating jobs. Okay, because for instance, if you want to build industries, what fits into industry? It is about raw materials. So if you don't have sufficient raw materials, how do you feed industry? Because raw material production is what will dovetail you into having industry. So Ghana, if you want to measure now, do we have about 1 million industries running in Ghana? 0 across the 16 region. Therefore, when you look at all these things, we want to introduce what we call the People's Mineral Mining Corporation. Some of these things means that we can be able to galvanize or amalgamate all the operators within the galamsey industry, within the extractive space, so that the state can be able to extract its own minerals. We live in a country where somebody tells you that I make $1 million a day as a private individual doing galamsey, destroying your water bodies and everything. As a radical left-minded person, I would rather prefer the communism approach, where the state itself should be involved in extracting those minerals. What does it take to extract a gold from the soil? Excavator and proper planning, and wash the gold and sell. That one too we cannot do and generate money. Now we are running around looking for 3 billion from IMF, assuming without admitting that we have 10 Ghanaians that are in the galamsey space and making $1 million a day for themselves. That means they are making $10 million a day. Multiply $10 million by 365 days in a year. You have already clocked your 3 billion plus. So if you live in a system where the state is lackadaisically sitting behind and always saying that private sector, when you extract the gold, give us 5%. And even they have a very ridiculous agreement with the mining companies that says that you can keep about 90% of your profit in foreign account. That is the foreign retention agreement. So we are saying that it is better the state itself destroy the land, extract the gold, plow it into productive sectors that can help this economy to become a buoyant one, that Ghana can work again, Ghana can be self-sufficient, self-dependent, self-reliant, competitive, and counted among nations as great thinkers. Then again, we are also looking at the fact that we need to harmonize the informal sector.
Right.
We need to harmonize the informal sector. So, for instance, we have a policy proposal that if assuming God blesses me and I have the mandate of the people, assuming I identify 2 million businesses, not through the Maslow approach, we invest the money into the investment companies. Your job is to identify 2 million companies in Ghana that are productive, that are producing something. Let us have a data on them. Let us directly invest into their business. Let us help them expand. Let us decouple the energy space so that at the end of the day, we have a dedicated power for industry. So we reduce the cost of what? Running businesses. So when these people are empowered, within a period of a year, and every company can employ at least one more person or 2 more persons based on the strategic partnership that we have forged with them, forging a common alliance, and all employ one person, wouldn't we have employed 2 million more Ghanaians? If they do two people, we would have employed 4 more million of Ghanaians. So we are looking at the development of a comprehensive database for the informal sector, because there is somebody there, he sells cocoa, he sells wache, he sells tomatoes, he's a hairdresser, he's a petty trader. But at the end of the day, all these people, they make what we call daily income, okay? So if government says that at least the 16 regions, at least 500,000 per region, so we identify 5 million Ghanaians who are within the informal sector. I want to invest at least a minimum of 10,000 Ghana cedis into your businesses. Not through the Maslow again, but through the venture capital system and investment companies, so that there can be proper prudent management and accountability. So now, if I invest into all of these people, assuming I invest into 5 million people, okay, and at the end of the day, I say to Ghanaians, it's a partnership we are forging. We cannot wait for IMF to come and solve our problem. The World Bank cannot solve our problem. Europe cannot solve our problem. It is only the black man that can solve his own problem. It's only the Ghanaian that can take the bull by the horn and face the future with confidence. Therefore, the money I'm giving to you every day when you close from work, give me a daily income tax of 10 cedis. So if at the end of the day I have 5 million people that we have invested in them, and they close and they give me 10 Ghana cedis at the end of the day, we will be having that money on a daily basis. Because what you do is that at the end of the day, just dial a short code and pay that your money, interest free. You have about 4 years to pay that money. Now, when you have this money, you then not put it into the revolving fund that you'll be giving to others. That this money, is when you get it, you plow it into your farms. Now, we also have what we are talking about called the state fund, what we call the Ghana Farmers Brigade. It's a policy we are proposing. That why do you retrofit or renovate, let's say, Commander Sugar Factory, and you don't have a sugarcane plantation? It doesn't make sense. Before you even start the retrofitting of that factory, you must make sure you have sufficient raw materials to feed the factory. But you realize that in our situation in Ghana, where we praise mediocrity and we always tap ourselves on the back and say we are the best, we are doing well, we are the only people who can renovate or retrofit a factory without having sufficient raw materials to feed it. So since we respectfully, since our previous government finished retrofitting the Commander Sugar Factory, have we been able to produce a metric ton of sugar before from there? 0. So the state farm model, we will not even manage it. The state farm will be managed by the engineering wing of the army. Because you see, to restructure the mind of the people, respectfully, Madam Lily, Ghana and Singapore started on the same pedestal when Kwame Nkrumah was our first leader. But today, when you...
We actually gave them seed capital.
Yes. Today, when you look at Singapore and Ghana, Singapore is one of the countries in the world that have more assets than liability. They don't owe anybody because the people have renewed their mindset. They are ready to take their destiny into their own hand. But look at Ghana now. When we overthrew Kwame Nkrumah and we truncated the process, now we are roaming around left, right, front, center, begging for every single thing we need. Even if we are given the thing, look at the way we waste it because we don't have what we call scale of preference. We don't have a priority list. That when we do A, the A will dovetail into B, the B will metamorphose into C. Therefore, by the time we get to this level, we should have Ghana being a nation where the people are happy, there is job, there is prosperity, there is love everywhere, and everybody has something to do on daily basis.
Are you then saying that a Suma government will not borrow?
No, the Suma government should not borrow. Because you see, like I said to you, when I'm able to do what we call investing into agriculture, so Madam Lily, assuming we are running a hybrid economic management model, that is what we are proposing to Ghana, that we need to run what we call a hybrid model, where the private sector and the state forge a common alliance to build industry. So now, if we know that the whole of Volta region, we have arable land that are wasting, there is nothing going on in the region, okay? And then now we want to have what we call the Ghana Farmers Brigade. So we will set up hectares of cassava plantation in the region. So when you do so, and we want to set up the factory, we then now encourage private sector to go and bring the investments from Europe and bring the technical expertise, bring the machinery, bring everything. Because look, even the cassava starch demand globally, we cannot meet it. Like Mr. Jantua was rightly saying before I came here, the demand for salt globally, because salt is a critical product for the petrochemical industry as well. So look at salt. Look, what are we really doing about all the things that God has blessed us with copiously? But at the end of the day, because of the political inclinations now we have, so we are not looking at things from the crystal ball to see it very clear that we need to run this nation devoid of excessive partisan politics. So if the thing is good, the opposition says it is bad. If the thing is bad, those who have the opportunity to lead, they say it is good. With this kind of approach, respectfully, we are not going anywhere. So I will not borrow because I want to build what we call domestic partnership. I want to build strategic alliances with the people within. I want to put in austerity measures. For instance, I'm saying to Ghanaians, if I get opportunity, I'm not here for money. I will die and go with nothing. Riches will not even take me near the gates of heaven. So my salary, if I'm supposed to pay that the president, I'll cut it by 60%. I don't need it. I don't need it. The ministers, the MPs, they must at least, the salaries has to be reduced at least by 40%, at least for a period of 2 years to mop up revenue from within what? The system. We have state-owned enterprises, excuse me to say that, are running at a loss. But the chief executive officers of those companies are taking fast salary like 100,000, 120,000. Look, it is only in Africa that you see these things were happening, not in any civilized jurisdiction, where a company is running at a loss, but the CEO is still taking a fat salary with fat allowances. We will slash it by 40% to 50%. It's either you take it or you leave it. So we put in serious austerity measures, draw our scale of preference, identify our priority list, and invest into productive sectors. So I invest into agriculture. When I have the state farms, for like I'm saying, I have the cassava plantation, the pineapple plantation, the palm plantation, the sugarcane plantation, the coffee plantation, cocoa. Why is Cote d'Ivoire always leading? Besides Cote d'Ivoire giving support to cooperative and individual cocoa growers, the state also have cocoa plantations. So if the state wants to produce, let's say, 100 million metric tons of cocoa annually, the state is responsible for producing at least 60% of the total produce volume they want. And they empower individuals and cooperatives to take care of what? The remainder. That is why we say when we set up the state farms will not be managed by civilians. It will be managed by the engineering wing of the Ghana Armed Forces, because if I'm given the power to lead it, I'm becoming the commander-in-chief of the army. These are your people. The army is supposed to be your number one development partner, because they are the only disciplined institution we have now in Ghana. They are the only people that carries a lot of fear, that carries a lot of respect. So if I have a plantation in Ho or in Volta region, and it is being managed by one captain or two captains put together, do you think there wouldn't be discipline there? People will wake up. If it is 6 a.m., you have to be at work, they will be there. If by 5, you have to close, because the system is running the way down. Government to go, government to come,
but the system will work.
The army will remain. Please, are you with me?
Yeah.
There is a difference between the state and there's a difference between government.
Yeah.
Government are formed by people who have been given the opportunity to lead us. Therefore, government can go today, but the state will remain. That is why the army is always the representative of the state. So at all points in time, when the state is not going or the country is not being run well, that is why you see the agitation coming from the military, and they want to take over and redirect the path of the nation.
So you seem to have beautiful ideas, but one will ask, why did you not join any of the major political parties and effect the change from within? I ask this because if you look at the trajectory of gains made by independent candidates, it is not encouraging. You think you can make that difference?
Respectfully, again, you see, Ghana is widely awakening now. Benin, in 2016, who knew Benin would vote for an independent person? Because they've seen the system. They realize that we are being led into a ditch. You see, we call something spoils of war, where we all fought together. We all won the victory, the battle together.
Yeah.
We have invested our resources into pushing you to get to the top. So the political parties always have vested interest. It is not about you. That is why when they are forming the cabinet, the general secretary of the party is most often part of cabinet, because they must pursue the ultimate interest of the party, but not the state. I am not a politically inclined person. I am just a messenger. I've had this call, Richard, you are good. Why don't you join NPP? The moment I join, I'll become like them. So who will speak for the vulnerable? Who will speak for the poor man?
But don't you think you can make a change, even if from within?
No, the bureaucratic system within the political structure itself will not even allow your ideas. Look, before, when I was presenting my comprehensive database program for, I started this when Professor Mills was in power. I wrote to the Jubilee House that let us develop a comprehensive database for the informal sector. These people, look, can you imagine you wake up today, there is no mechanic. You wake up today, there is no hairdresser. You wake up today, there is no seamstress. There is no cocoa seller. There is no... How are we going to run as a nation? We are completely going to get stuck. So the idea is that we must get to the stage where we can come to realization that unless we're able to bring the left and the right on the same table, where NPP fine brains are brought on the same table, NDC fine brains are brought on the same table, technocrats are brought on the same table, academia is brought on the same table, the masses are brought on the same table to have a fair representation. That is the only way. When you present a bill to parliament, okay, when I am the president and I present a bill to parliament for deliberation or debate, the bill will be debated devoid of what? Partisan what? Politics. But now every bill that goes to parliament, you realize that it is debated on political what? Lines. That is why I'm saying that Ghana, I may not be the richest. I may not be the one who has all the financial resources. But because I'm telling you that my idea...
Are you a member of the NDC?
No, I am not.
Was there at any point you attempted joining the NDC? Because
No,
you said that some of your ideas you were trying to make the Atamilsa administration, and that was an NDC era.
Yes, I presented a proposal. I wrote to the ministries and I wasn't getting any response, but I had a proposal called developing a comprehensive database for the informal sector to enhance domestic revenue mobilization. So I took a proposal there. They look at it, brilliant idea, but they threw it away. I even took the proposal to U.S. Embassy in Ghana. I wrote to them. I went there, did a detailed presentation to them. They loved the idea. They said, Richard, every country that grows must focus on domestic revenue mobilization. And how do you mobilize revenue? It is either you identify the people, support them, and get from them. But we run a system where government always want to take from the people, but government is not ready to give to the people. Why? And if you don't want to give me, but you always want to take from me, I will not give you. That is why you see many Ghanaians, if government say, I'm giving money, COVID fund, I'm dashing it through mass lock, through all these people, they take the money, they don't want to pay. Why? Because they know that you are at the top, you are enjoying the larger share. And some small thing, you giving me 5,000 Ghana cedis. Do you know the COVID fund? Some people go as low as 200 and 300 Ghana cedis. What am I going to do with 200 Ghana cedis if that is the money government is supporting me with? Please, are with me? So my idea, I move it to the NPP era. Since they came, I wrote to the Madam Oparo Ofrima. I met Mr. Abu Jinakpo before. They directed me, they wrote my letter. A copy was given to Dr. Awad, the then Minister of Business Development. I went, we had a nice conversation. You look at it, say, Richie, this idea is brilliant, but it is bigger than you. I moved from there, wrote to Dr. Ewua of the Ministry of Employment and Labor. They gave me the opportunity, brought GRA, brought Ghana Statistical Service. They brought all the people. I did a panel discussion presentation. NIA said they were doing data, so there's no need for another data. I told them that we have something we call cluster data. If I go online today and say, look, an investor is coming to Ghana and he's looking for carpenters or plumbers or electricians, you go online, oh, electricians in Ghana, home municipal, I'm supposed to have a data that will pop up so that I know that this is Mr. Richard, he's a carpenter, this is telephone number, he's in Ho, he is in this community. Therefore, if I need any services, I can directly do what? Access them. Go onto the NIA website or Google right now and say data of carpenters or masons or mechanics or panel beaters in Ghana. The system will crash because there is no data of such available. But if you have this cluster data, you know who they are, what they do, how they do it, what are their challenges, and you give them something small, you can then now give them what we call task card. So if I'm a businessman, I want a carpenter to come and work for me, I need to find out, do you pay tax? If you pay tax, then you must have that card, okay, before I can even allow you to work for me. So therefore, at the end of the day, I know the state is also going to do or benefit from what I am paying you with. I made this assessment to them, and they realized that I won the argument that day. But then again, they asked me, Richie, how much do you think is the cost for the project? Well, I needed to buy like Java or Oracle or SQL, a big database management software. And then the deployment of the people from the constituency level to the district level to the regional level to national level. So I needed to deploy a team. So I gave them a hypothetical figure. I had it in my presentation though, about 2 million cedis. The moment I mentioned 2 million cedis, they look at me and they say, hey, Richie, so you, this small boy, you want 2 million cedis to go and execute this project? And I'm like, oh no, it's not about me, but it's about what the project can benefit us. But the long and short of it was that after I mentioned the figure, that was the end of what? The whole engagement with me. Because instead of you doing it that you are not part of it, perhaps we would prefer to give it to somebody. But you see, when God is giving ideas and he plants it in your head, it is difficult for you to transfer it into somebody's head. That's why I'm saying that with my divinely inspired ideas, and if I want to build manpower, my dear, we are also setting up what we call the Ghana Builders Brigade. Do you know something? Now we are educating our people to go to secondary schools and know how to speak English respectfully without prejudice. Our free education, what is the cutoff point? What is the ultimate vision for which reason we are doing free education? Is it for our people to just have access to secondary school, go to secondary school, graduate and know how to speak English? Is that all? If that is the reason, then we don't need a free education. Because speaking English does not measure intelligence, or it's not a benchmark for measuring wisdom or benchmark for having an employability skills. So we are saying that we have a huge infrastructure deficit as a nation. Why do we have about 5,000 schools under trees? Why are the children who the monies we are borrowing every blessed day? Do you know the children are the one coming to pay it? Now we don't even have one major first class international children hospital in this country of ours. Why? Because the politician, to him, it is not about the interests of the children, because do they even care about them? They don't care about the children, not even the aged. So we are saying that the Ghana Builders Brigade will be an embodiment of the manpower development of the nation. It will be like a paramilitary agency that will also be integrated into the engineering wing of the army. That will be made up of carpenters, masons, plumbers, electricians, drivers, mechanics. Are you with me? Now, when you have this category of people in there, if you want to eradicate schools under trees, these people, you give them basic training so you can deploy them across all the 275 constituencies.
Okay. You know how politics in Ghana is. And they say that especially politics and election campaigns are expensive. Do you have the needed resources to prosecute this year campaign?
Respectfully, again, to the people of Ghana, that is the perception we want to demystify. That is the agenda for which I, Richard Suma, I have decided to be part of this race. Because the race is not a preserve for the rich. Elections are contested on the basis of ideas. Who has the love? Who has the care? Who has the integrity? Honesty. Because the leader of the country, you are supposed to be the vision bearer. You are supposed to provide the nurturing, the guidelines, the direction, the sincerity. So if you are using money as the benchmark for measuring intelligence, and we are selling the destiny of our children, selling the destiny of this nation for a cup of rice, for a piece of cloth, for television set, for 1,000 Ghana cedis that a politician can give you to go and vote for him or her, then we are the contributors of our own disaster that is awaiting us. So we are looking at the fact that somebody must emerge one day out of nowhere that can beat his chest and tell the people of Ghana that I don't have the money to share to you. I don't have the resources. You support me, because in civilized jurisdiction, it is the people who choose their leader. It is the people who support their leader. They invest in you and put you to get to the top. But here, because we've created a political system that the moment you win power, the people don't matter to you again. That is why the people too have developed that strategy. That if you want our power, we will take something from you. If you go and you don't mind us again, after all, we know that within the 4 years, we have gotten one piece of cloth from you. So I am saying to the people of Ghana that money, making money or having money before God and man, before everybody know, it is not the benchmark for measuring intelligence. Benchmark for measuring wisdom or knowledge. Wisdom and knowledge is divine. It must come from divine sources. That is why I'm saying that if we want to do this politics of money, then we'll be throwing all the good materials away. So I know I don't have the financial resources, but I know that I have a God that is inside me. He is big enough, and if he loves you enough and he knows that he has brought you for you to become the hope and inspiration for your people, angels will come from nowhere and support you.
Right. How sure are you of victory?
Yes, I'm very measurable in terms of how sure I am of victory. Now, Rome was not built in a day.
Okay.
Therefore, if I'm emerging on the political scene, that I have what it takes, I have the divinity to be able to be the source of hope and inspiration for the people of Ghana, I must be measured. Therefore, I am saying to them that if you look at the electoral college or you look at the electoral data that we have, there are over 50 million people who have been captured in the electoral register. But if you go to election, just about 10 million people do what? Do vote. And how many people vote for NPP to make them become the leader? About 5 million, respectfully. So if you look at the people who don't belong to either the left or the right, but are waiting for somebody to emerge out of nowhere, that his idea or vision can resonate with them, they will vote for me. And I know the carpenter, the mason, I've been an advocate for them through the days of less debt. If you Google me now on informal sector development, you will see the works I have done. So at the end of the day, the carpenter there, the mason there, they are my constituents. Because if I didn't have, and I've been at the forefront of advocating the development and empowerment of you, then you should know that you have your kind, somebody who understands you, who is now vying to get to the top. Because respectfully, you cannot change anything from behind. You can only change it when you are doing what? Leading. And that's why leadership, you are supposed to chart the path for your people to do what? Follow. So
should Ghanaians be surprised if your name does not pop up on the ballot come December 7?
Oh yes, you see, the system itself is very vindictive, you understand? The system is vindictive. And there are people who want the status quo to remain the same because it benefits their interest. So now, if they see that there is somebody else who is emerging, who is gaining momentum, where people are gravitating towards him, they'll definitely want to find ways and means to do what? To curtail you. But that notwithstanding, they say when the man's way pleases the Lord, even his enemies will be at peace with him. Right. Therefore, when my ways pleases them, I am not coming to attack NDC. They are fine gentlemen, fine brains there. NPP is full of fine brains and fine gentlemen there. And I'm saying to you that should I, Ghanaians, decide that, look, we will vote for our parliamentary candidates on partisan lines. But when it comes to the presidency, we want to change it and give it to somebody who is a neutral, who is not either on the right or on the left, but is a forward-looking person. I am the only person who I can work with Apejo Markins on the same table, respectfully to mention his name, or work with Mr. John Abujinapo on the same table, because we look at expertise, you look at passion, look at determination, look at the willpower to work with the people. So I want to plead with them that they shouldn't want to come after me or curtail me. They should rather see how we can all forge a common front. But when it comes to about 100,000 that maybe is for the filing fee, that is what people ask, Richie, do you have it? I say, no, I don't have it, but we have over 33 million Ghanaians. If Ghanaians love you and they want to put you there, 100,000 is not more valuable than the life of a child. 100,000 is no more valuable than the life of a miserable pensioner who is out there. Look at what we have done to them recently. They are toiled. We have to give them another haircut because their money, we are using it to restructure foreign and domestic what? Debt. So respectfully, I am not afraid about the money big because I know that at the appropriate time, I will not raise my pocket money to pay that 100,000. But there are good Ghanaians out there who say, oh, look, I love this guy. Let me pay that 100,000 for him. Let him vie. Whatever he can do, let him do it for the benefit of all and sundry.
We wish you well, Richard.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you on the ballot come December 7. So that's Richard Suma. He's an independent presidential aspirant. That's it for Hard Talk.
Thank you.
The show, this is still GH Today here on GHOne TV. My name is Lily Mohammed. Now, if you're an African who frequents other African countries, or not just an African, but if you're somebody who frequents all other African countries and you need to do business there, but anytime you step foot in that country, you need to change your money into dollar and then buy that African country's currency. Now, there is good news. If you do business, if you're a normal frequent traveler, if you're somebody who is intending to do business, this is the good news I have for you. Very soon, you can actually send money or receive money from all the other continents, all the other countries on the continent. How? I'll tell you shortly. My guest this morning is Dr. Kofi Nyankopon. He's Chief Operating Officer for the Africa Prosperity Network. Godlove Eshife is Head of Research and Content at the Africa Prosperity Network. I mentioned something a while ago. These are the people who tell you how possible it is. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning, Lily.
How are you doing?
We are good.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. Now, for mobile money interoperability on the African continent, such a brilliant idea. How doable is this?
Well, it is doable. However, it will take the buy-in of key stakeholders. Okay? Stakeholders being central banks, being telco regulators, being the telcos themselves, being fintech companies, being national security agencies, and even the direct beneficiaries, SMEs. Okay, so if all these stakeholders sit together, dialogue, come up with their challenges and their solutions and how to propose and implement and push this initiative and advocacy forward, I think it's going to be very doable, and that is the essence of this whole conversation.
But what informed this? I mean, I'm sure at one point you considered factors from a lot of the countries.
Correct.
What informed it?
So let me take you back a little bit. Okay, the conversation started with our annual flagship program, which is called the Africa Prosperity Dialogues.
Okay.
So we have this program in January of every year. Okay, people are even bidding as the Davos of Africa. Okay, so essentially we have heads of states and governments.
I think the last time it was in April.
Yes, PGS, correct.
Yes.
Correct. So we have heads of states and governments who meet on one side, these political leaders on one hand, and then we have business executives on one hand, social change makers on another hand. These leaders sit together and dialogue on ways to boost intra-African trade, economic prosperity, shared prosperity, and so on and so forth. So at the dialogues, it was unanimous that the low-hanging fruit to drive economic transformation and intra-African trade will be to enhance or get an interoperable mobile money system among all countries. So out of the conversation, they came with what we call the PGS Compact. So interestingly, we have a champion in our president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who took this compact. The compact had a list of items, talk of how to add value to our resources, food sovereignty, industrialization. So all these things were identified as a catalyst for growth in Africa. However, the low-hanging fruit unanimously was decided that if we can achieve or attain continent-wide interoperability, then that would be something that would help boost. So the conversation started very, very simple. How can the trader in Ghana, make a payment in Cote d'Ivoire, get the goods delivered, and with a click, the payment is effected and simplified. So interoperability, it sounds like a big word, but essentially it's harmonization. Okay, we want a seamless flow between payment systems, between your device and my device. It doesn't matter if I'm on one network, I should be able to send money to someone in Kenya seamlessly. So from this conversation in PGS, the compact was tabled before the heads of state in Addis Ababa by our president to get the political buy-in. Okay, now we as a secretariat of our organization, as part of our advocacy for this year, decided that we are going to take on interoperability, how to push this agenda forward, and that is why we got to how.
Is this something that will impact positively on our AFCFT agenda?
Exactly. Okay, so let me right from where Dr. Nyankopon has spoken. Let's put this in context. Okay, what does prosperity really mean to you, rhetorically? Okay, when it comes to my grandmother in Ekropong, prosperity basically means what?
having uninterrupted water supply so that she can cook and drink. Prosperity basically means having interrupted power supply so that she can see in the night and probably watch your show. Okay? To her, prosperity also means that I should be able to send her something small for her upkeep and probably every month. Okay? So when you look at all this and you table it before Africa, prosperity also means that the SMEs, who are the core heart in terms of Africa's growth, okay, should be able to trade seamlessly, okay. And if you look at the African continent, okay, SMEs are over 60% of the the business population.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you look at AFCFTA in their quest to drive trade, drive financial inclusion, drive prosperity in Africa, they have what we call the Digital Trade Protocol.
Yeah.
Okay, and this Digital Trade Protocol try to enhance what we call the payment system across borders.
Yeah.
Okay, and we think interoperability can help facilitate that. Interoperability can serve as the framework to boost that trade. If you can buy and sell across Africa, you can probably send from Telecel cash to maybe Axian in Morocco. Won't you be happy? It's just
Absolutely.
a click. Exactly.
And if you let's say if you travel out of Ghana and you need to send money home for an emergency, it'll be seamless. You just have to at the click of a button. But then what happens to our quest to have a common currency like the ECO?
Yeah, so that is also part of enhancing intra-African trade, financial inclusion. So this is also going to serve a totally different purpose. Okay, so we can have the ECO for grand scale of things. Look at the economy, look at big transactions and the likes. However, if you can do these transactions with your mobile phone, even without changing the money, remember the problem is huge. $5 billion is lost annually because we trade through the dollar channel. Okay, just because I have to send money to someone. Yes, exactly. Just because I have to send money to someone in Senegal, I have to change the CD to dollar. Someone has to change the dollar back to their currency, local currency, and all of that. We are losing this. Imagine if that money can be kept here on the continent to drive our shared prosperity and economic transformation. Okay, and so in as much as the ECO, what the PAPS is doing to enhance seamless cross-border transactions, mobile interoperability is yet another component in trying to facilitate this intra-African trade.
To put what Kofi even said into context, if you look at mobile money transactions on the African continent, okay, it produces a value of $1.3 trillion every year, and that was reported by GSMA in 2022. Okay, let's look at the statistics very well. When you look at Africa's combined GDP, okay, reported in 2023, we realized a combined GDP of 3.1 trillion. Okay, so it means that when we have interoperability as part of our core transactional activities, what do you think will happen in Africa? It's going to shoot our exactly our GDP. Exactly.
So, in regards to the interoperability transactions, you have a symposium coming up, and it's this Friday.
Friday.
Tell me about the symposium.
Right. So the symposium is going to be organized on the 5th of July, coming Friday, at the Labadi Beach Hotel.
Okay.
It starts
the famous Labadi Beach Hotel.
Well, you can say that. It starts at 8 a.m. Okay. The theme is scaling up interoperability and using mobile money to buy and sell across Africa. Okay, so as part of the symposium, which is essentially a meeting of experts, okay, we're going to have a plenary session. We're going to have opening presentation with remarks. We're going to have short presentations by these key experts, and then we're going to have panel discussions. Okay, so if you look at the likes of central bank governors, okay, we have the Nigerian central bank governor coming, our own central bank governor. If you look at commercial banks, if you look at fintechs, if you look at telecom regulators like our NCA, We have the similar communication authority in Liberia also showing up. If you look at all these stakeholders, including the telco companies themselves, okay, not just the Telecells, the MTNs of our kind, but even the Axians, the Safaricoms, M-Pesas, all these people from different countries in Africa are going to gather at the Labadi Beach Hotel so that these stakeholders can sit together around table, discuss what it is the challenges are, what it is the solutions could be, and how to implement a digital framework, okay, a blueprint for interoperability to be effected across Africa. So we'll have that is what the format of the symposium will be. At the end of the symposium, we are hoping that an outcome document will be presented, okay? We're also going to finalize
what outcome are you envisaging?
Right, so it's good that fintechs know what the problems the challenges are for themselves. It's good that central banks know what the challenges is to affect interoperability. And remember, even before I come to address your question, Ghana was the first country to attain full-scale domestic interoperability. Okay, I mean there's interoperability in East Africa and so on, but full-scale domestic interoperability. So we are assuming a leadership position in this regard. Okay, and so what will success be like? Success means that these stakeholders can sit together and identify the challenges and say, look, these are the challenges, but this is ways to address this. We even have people from national security, legal fields all coming in, because if we are going to exchange databases between Ghana, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, I mean, it will come with security implications and the likes. Okay, and so all these stakeholders sit together, come together, and then decide that this is the way forward. This is the blueprint, and we want to have a roadmap to attain interoperability, which could be months, okay, for this to happen. Now we
which could also be years.
Right. We can't.
We believe in the months.
We believe in the months.
Yes.
Are you hoping that by the end of this year we would have come to a conclusion on the way forward for the interoperability and actually implementing it?
Right. Because the first step is, remember that these stakeholders can agree that we want interoperability across Africa. But would you agree with me that this cannot be possible without the buy-in of political leaders? That is why it is essential that the resolution and the outcome from this symposium will be presented. And coincidentally, the AU Mid-Year Summit is happening in Accra. And around 21st July, 22nd July. So we are going to send this paper. Our president has graciously accepted to champion this initiative as well. So he's going to present it to the gathering of, and I understand about 15 heads of state are coming to Accra. Okay, he's going to tell them so that we get the political buy-in. We have the buy-in of the political leaders. We have the buy-in of these core partners. Then what do you think will happen? The blueprint is laid out. Implementation can start from there.
I asked you what you envisage for the concept note.
Yes.
You want to touch on that?
So I think if what Kofi rightly said is for the concept note, okay, I think a research in East Africa on mobile interoperability said that this is possible in Africa, and it is possible when it gets the buy-in. It's the political will that will help accelerate this initiative. Okay, the concept note is also to drive AfCFTA, how do you call it, agenda for trade. Okay, the concept note also want to how do you call it, tell political leaders that, look, this is what businesses on your continent or in your countries are saying. Okay, we believe that for us to be able to trade among ourselves seamlessly, it is important that these payment systems are streamlined. Okay, the concept note is also going to tell these political leaders that when you look at how do you call it, the continent, okay, financial systems, okay, financial how do you call it, financial and payment systems, when it comes to financial inclusion, is low. A report by IMF shows that when you talk about financial inclusion in Africa, we only have 5 countries, okay, who have above 50% of their population being having their monies in these how do you call it, the banks. Okay, so if we could have mobile money interoperability, think about what it would do. Look at what it did for Ghana. Okay, it has increased our financial inclusion. It has increased the number of on bank system. It has even increased our tax base. Okay, and that is what we want to push for the avenue for interoperability, to increase the volume and value on the continent.
Yes. So just this framework will be built. The blueprint will be established. it's like he said, we are looking at the SMEs. How can it benefit the person doing a regular buy and sell trade business in Ghana, for instance, or in any parts of Africa? Okay, 41% of SMEs make a digital payment daily, and even without interoperability, okay, AFDB tells us that in 2022 in sub-Saharan Africa, about $832 billion in transactions alone, okay, without continent-wide interoperability. So it tells you that the demand is there, okay.
Yeah.
So all these monies, all these things are going to help push our shared prosperity, our economic transformation as well.
I see a number of things I want to buy from Nigeria, but when I think about having to do bank transfers, then I sit back. So is the symposium free?
Well, it is free. Okay, we have our core partners, and essentially what you want to do is that the key stakeholders should be present. Okay. And so if you look at our registration database, when we just open registration, we have people from central banks, we have people from fintechs, the telcos themselves, telco regulators, national security agencies, SMEs across Africa. So it is free. If you go to register.africaprosperitynetwork.com, again, register.africaprosperitynetwork.com. You can register and be part of the symposium. Okay, for the general public, it is a way you can learn about how what the challenges are first of all, and how we are going to address it. Okay, like you rightfully asked. Okay, what would it take to make this possible in Africa? All it takes is, for instance, 2 countries to just start. Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire. Okay, we start, just a two country model.
Or Ghana, Togo. Because we have a lot of people going to Togo to buy stuff to come and sell back in Ghana.
Very true. And before you know it, Nigeria has joined, other countries have joined, and then boom, it takes shape from that way. So representatives from all over Africa have registered to be part of the symposium. From North Africa, we have people from their telco groups in Morocco. We have people from M-Pesa, Safaricom in East Africa. People from South Africa and West African countries are all going to share their experiences and tell us that these are the challenges, these are the proposed solutions, and this is the roadmap to implement interoperability. Once we get that done out of the symposium, we take it to the political leaders at the AU summit, and then we push it from there.
Thank you very much. What time does it start?
8 a.m. sharp. Please be at the Lavadi Beach Hotel. 8 a.m.
Okay, thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome.
This is a brilliant initiative, I must admit. Thank you, Dr. Kofi Nyakopong is Chief Operating Officer for the Africa Prosperity Network, and Godlove Shufi is Head of Research and Content for the Africa Prosperity Network. In the spirit of good news, let's do some celebrations. Okay. Happy birthday, Joshua Abesiampa. May all your aspirations come through. May all your aspirations come to pass from your lovely wife, Mrs. Jennifer Ampa, and the children. Happy birthday to you, Joshua. Another one to Tobuahene Ama Prudence, SRC General Secretary for SDA College of Education, Koforidia. May this day be as sunny as you smile and as beautiful as you are. This is from Obring Paul Prince. And a special, so another one. Here's to another year of amazing adventures and cherished moments. Happy birthday, Big Joe. Happy birthday to you, Big Joe. And a special one going out to you, Sylvia Anazita Asinam Glover. Happy birthday to you, girl. Live long, live large, and enjoy life. And of course, with more wealth. That's also very important. In the spirit of making money, for 15 years, Quick Credit has been your trusted partner in micro-lending, empowering lives and making dreams a reality. Today, we're excited to announce a new age. Quick Credit is now Bill's Microcredit, still committed to serving Ghanaians and, of course, changing lives. Bills is here to show you that everything is possible. Join us as we embrace a brighter future. Bills is financing your needs. My name is Lily Mohammed. Thank you very much for myself and my co-host Lantam Papanko and all the people who make this show possible. I always say this. I sit here and do all the talking, but the real work goes on behind the scenes. Camera, sound, light, and floor, director, producer, they do the real work. And so thanks to all these people. And thanks to you for watching. Have a great day. Catch you on the flip side.